say that would be an ultimate joy?
No, that way you both would enjoy it.
Oh, you both would enjoy it, okay. Well, I'm so glad everybody's in such a happy mood since we're going to be talking about happiness this morning. We have a lot to be happy about when you really think about all the good things and blessings that we have. But have you noticed how we're constantly bombarded with messages about what it takes to have a happy and fulfilling life? TV commercials tell us it comes from owning and consuming their products. The movies, television sitcoms, and soap operas associate happiness with wealth, beauty, or fame. And politicians claim that nothing matters more than growing the economy. Like that's going to make everybody happy. I mean, it's a good thing, but do any of these things really bring lasting happiness? For thousands of years, people have looked to philosophy, religion, and plain old grandfatherly wisdom for answers to such questions. But in recent decades, this ancient wisdom has been tested by scientific research. Scientists have found that although our genes and circumstances matter, a huge proportion of the variations in happiness between us come from our choices and activities. So although we may not be able to change our inherited characteristics or the circumstances in which we find ourselves, we will have the power to change how happy we are by the way we approach our lives. Of course, no one is immune to the ups and downs of life, and which one of us has not said, if we knew then what we know now, we could have avoided certain of our mistakes and failures. However, that is what the experience of life teaches us, to learn from our mistakes and move on. This is the crux of both wisdom and deep inner peace, dealing with our failures, letting them go, and moving on. Choosing to be happy transforms our regrets to forgiveness, both of ourselves and others. For every minute we are angry or irritated, we lose 60 seconds of personal happiness. There are concrete things we can do to help make life happier, just as there are things we can do that definitely contribute to making life unhappy. This morning I'd like to talk about some of the ways, choices really, that will help you discover happiness in your life. By putting forth just a little effort, happiness is within easy reach for most people. The first thing is do things for others. In other words, if you want to feel good, do good. Caring about others is fundamental to our happiness. Helping other people is not only good for them, it's good for us too. It makes us happier and can help to improve our emotional health. Giving also creates stronger connections between people and helps to build a happier society for everyone. Though it's not all about money, we can also give our time, ideas, and energy. So if you want to feel good, do good. A few days ago, while driving away from Kroger's parking lot on Starlight Drive, I encountered a young man holding a sign which simply said, "Struggling. Any help appreciated." The light was green and there wasn't anywhere to pull over to avoid blocking traffic, so I passed the man by. As I was driving on, I looked down at the bags of groceries in my car, and I said to myself, how will you be able to enjoy this food you just purchased when you pass by someone asking for your help, who obviously had no money to purchase food for himself? I usually keep $20 cash locked in my glove compartment for emergencies. So I turned the car around and went back to give this man the $20. Of course, I had no way of knowing how or where he would spend the money, but really that wasn't the point. And making me feel good really wasn't the point either, but it did make me happy. Happy that I was able, in a very small way, to help a fellow human being who was struggling, and happy that I hadn't become so callous to the needs of others that I could simply ignore someone's plea for help. And I know every one of you here today have done or would do the same thing I did. Doing extra acts of kindness, paying someone a compliment, or simply giving someone a smile are ways you can make others and yourself happy, while at the same time extending compassion to others by relating to them in positive ways. Number 2, connect with people. Our relationships with other people are the most important thing for our happiness. People with strong relationships are happier, healthier, and live longer. Our close relationships with family and friends provide love, meaning, support, and increase our feelings of self-worth. You know, I think this morning, I know playing that happy song had a lot to do with us feeling really happy. But every Sunday I feel happy when I'm here with you all. And I know you all feel the same way too. It just lifts your spirits. Our broader social networks bring a sense of belonging. So it's vital that we take action to strengthen our relationships and make new connections. If nothing else, it shows we care about others. I'm sure each of us can think of people we really need to call, write, or visit. Maybe we need to take some time out for the people we care the most about. Our spouse, our partner, our children, our parents, and so on. Make more time for the people who matter in your life. Perhaps there is someone here today you don't know well. Well, make a point to introduce yourself. Learn the name of someone new. Show that you truly believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person by your actions, especially in how you treat others. Number 3, take care of your body, mind, and spirit. Our body and mind are connected. We all know that. Being active makes us happier as well as healthier. It instantly improves our mood and can even lift us out of depression. We don't always have to run marathons. There are simple things we can do to be more active each day. We can also boost our well-being by spending time outdoors, eating healthily, unplugging from social media and technology, and getting enough sleep. Regular exercise can lift you out of depression, but even if you're already healthy, a burst of activity will boost your mind. You don't see a lot of depressed and unhappy kids, probably due to their activity and energy level. Making time for physical activity and anything that gets you moving will help to increase your happiness. Notice which healthy actions lift your mood and do them more often. Have you ever felt there must be more to life? Good news, there is. And it's right here in front of us. We just need to stop and take notice. Learning to be more mindful and aware does wonders for our well-being, whether it's on our walk to work, in the way we eat, or in our relationships. It helps us to get in tune with our feelings and stops us dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Give yourself a bit of headspace. At least once each day, stop and take 5 minutes to just breathe and be in the moment. Notice and appreciate good things around you every day, big or small. Trees. Right now, the trees are budding out. The dogwoods a little later, but the red buds and the tulip trees will be blooming. Take time to notice how pretty they are. Birds singing. I've got a couple bird feeders outside my kitchen window, and I get so much joy watching the blue jays and the cardinals, even the sparrows. Other simple things we take for granted, the smell of coffee. Doesn't coffee smell good when it's brewing? And the laughter of young children. You know what? One thing that I kind of secretly do when I'm in a store and there's somebody with a basket with a, maybe even a 1-year-old just in the basket. When the parents have their faces away, I smile at that baby. And I think every time that baby has smiled back. Babies, recognize a smile, and they know it's a good, uplifting thing. Number 4, keep learning. Learning affects our well-being in lots of positive ways. It exposes us to new ideas and helps us stay curious and engaged. It also gives us a sense of accomplishment and helps boost our self-confidence and resilience. There are many ways to learn new things throughout our lives, not just through formal qualifications. We can share a skill with friends, join a club, attend a lecture, play a new sport, and so much more. This week I attended 2 lectures about the current situation in Israel. It had been over a year since I had taken time to attend such an event. Just being around other people who have an interest in what's happening in the world made me feel more alive and a part of life in this world. Do something for the first time today. Sample sushi. Drive a different route. Read a different newspaper. Or visit a local place of interest you've never been to before. Learn a new skill, however small. A first aid technique or a new feature on your phone, we all have phones that we have no idea what all they can do. I answer mine when it rings and send text messages. I didn't even realize it had an alarm on it until someone pointed it out to me when I said I was having trouble getting up in the morning. You might even want to cook a new meal, something you've never prepared before. There's a lot of things that you can do to add spice to life. Number 5, have goals to look forward to. Feeling good about the future is really important for our happiness. We all need goals to motivate us, and these have to be challenging enough to excite us, but also achievable. If we try to attempt the impossible, this creates unnecessary stress and frustration. Choosing meaningful but realistic goals give our lives direction and brings a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction when we achieve them. Take the first step. Think of a goal you're aiming for and do one thing to get started. Make a call, fill in the form, tell others. Share your dreams. Tell 3 people about an aspiration that is really important to you this year, and listen to theirs too. Number 6, find ways to bounce back. All of us have times of stress, loss, failure, or trauma in our lives. How we respond to these events has a big impact on our well-being. We often cannot choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we react to what happens. In practice, it's not always easy, but one of the most exciting findings from recent research is that resilience, like many other life skills, can be learned. Ask for help today. Confide in a friend. Talk to an expert. Reach out to a colleague. Ask a neighbor to lend a hand. When something is troubling you, do something you really enjoy. Shift your mood and bring a new perspective on the problem. Number 7, take a positive approach. Positive emotions like joy, gratitude, contentment, inspiration, and pride don't just feel good when we experience them. They also help us perform better, broaden our perceptions, increase our resilience, and improve our physical health. So although we need to be realistic about life's ups and downs, It helps to focus on the good aspects of any situation, the glass half full rather than the glass half empty. Do something that you know will make you feel good. Listen to music, watch something funny, get outside or call an old friend. Try to smile and say something positive or constructive every time you walk into a room. Notice the reactions you get. Number 8, be comfortable with who you are. Nobody's perfect, but so often we compare a negative view of ourselves with an unrealistic view of other people, dwelling on our flaws, what we're not, rather than what we've got. Makes it much harder to be happy. Learning to accept ourselves, warts and all, and being kinder to ourselves when things go wrong increases our enjoyment of life, our resilience and our well-being. It also helps to accept others as they are. Ask a friend what they think your good points are. You'll be surprised at the lift it will give you. Ask a trusted friend or colleague to tell you what they think your real strengths are. Try to make more use of these. Be as kind to yourself as you are to others. See your mistakes as opportunities to learn. Notice things you do well, however small. And finally, number 9, be part of something bigger. People who have meaning and purpose in their lives are happier, feel more in control, and get more out of what they do. They also experience less stress, anxiety, and depression. But where do we find meaning and purpose? It might come from doing a job that makes a difference. Our religion, humanistic or spiritual beliefs, or our family. The answer for each of us vary for each of us, but they all involve being connected to something bigger than ourselves. You know, I think that's a big part of this congregation. It's something that we can be actively involved in that involves a lot of people. And that's what I mean by bigger than ourselves. Feel part of something bigger. Spend time with children. Visit an inspiring location. Gaze at the stars. Or make a new friend by getting to know someone you don't know well. Maybe someone here today. Be more charitable. Give others your time. Offer to help neighbors or friends. Consider giving blood or volunteering. Like any worthwhile endeavor, being happy does take effort. It won't come naturally like having blue eyes or blonde hair. You have to give it your full attention and you have to work on it continually. I have set a goal for myself of reviewing one of the 7 principles we promote each day. I have the 7 principles as my screensaver on my computer, which keeps them constantly in front of me. I'm doing this to help keep me grounded and heading in the right direction, but also to benefit the people in my life, be they family members or friends or people I see routinely at work, or random people I pass on the street or at events I attend. When we strive to be the best that we can be, it keeps us in a positive frame of mind, which promotes true happiness. 3 months ago, I entered into a professional relationship with Dr. Jonathan Carroll as my spiritual director. A spiritual director is a trained person who journeys with an individual through the ups and downs of life, helping them to see areas in their personal experiences where they can grow and become a healthier person, both emotionally and spiritually. As a spiritual director myself, it's important to be in spiritual direction and to have a spiritual director in order to stay moving forward and to continue growing as a person and as a director. Dr. Carroll has been in parish ministry for many years and has begun a counseling practice called The Clinic at the Montgomery on Elizabeth Street here in Owensboro. There was an article in the Messenger Inquirer a number of months ago, which is how I became aware of his practice. I have invited him to come speak to us on Sunday, April 26th, the last Sunday in April. I don't know the title of his talk, but but I believe it will be about, in part, on how to land on your feet following being disappointed by previous negative experiences with religious organizations. I've also spoken with him about the possibility of organizing some kind of group counseling sessions or possibly a support group to assist people who are struggling due to past negative experiences with churches and their representatives. And who among us has never had some kind of negative church-related experience? Probably everybody. Anyway, I have no doubt his message will be helpful, as well as interesting to the majority of us. To help kick off our discussion portion of the service this morning, I want to talk to you about an idea I've had. You know, human feelings, I guess, are the most fragile thing that we encounter. Feelings involve a lot of things. Pride. Oh, what else? Feelings. Sometimes things bring up past events in our lives, you know, negative things, and we bring those things out in how we react to someone or something. And I'm thinking about our congregation. I'm thinking it would be nice, perhaps, to either have someone volunteer, elect somebody, find someone in the congregation that we all love and respect, and have them be kind of like a intercessor. In other words, say Marty hates the fact that I wear maroon ties. She doesn't like maroon ties.
This color.
She likes that color, and I won't wear that color. Say Roger is this intercessor. Say Marty doesn't know me well, or she's a little embarrassed to come to me and say, Randy, I hate your maroon ties. I really wish you'd wear, is it fuchsia ties? So she would go to Roger and say to Roger, I don't like that Randy wears maroon ties. Can you bring us two together to talk about it? That way, we don't drag out unhappy situations. We do it right away, and we do it by word of mouth. We don't do it through text messages, emails, you know, impersonal things. But we have somebody that any member can go to when they get their feelings hurt. And we can solve hurt feelings right away, rather than, you know, have it drag on. And you know, if this were to happen, I could say to Marty, I won't wear that maroon tie ever again if it offends or upsets you. And that'd be the end of it. We'd hug each other and go on our merry way. Of course, that's just a silly example, maroon tie. But you know, like I said, we get our feelings hurt often. If we're all honest, you know, at some time we're going to have a situation with another person where we get hurt feelings. And we really need a way as a congregation that's simple. We don't need to have to read Robert's Rules of Order or drag our bylaws into it, because most problems are tiny when you really think about it. They get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as more people get involved. See, if Marty went to Bill and said, Bill, I don't like that Randy wears maroon ties. Can you help form a caucus and we'll really get Randy and tell him to stop wearing those maroon ties? I know you all know what I mean. Yes. You know how things can escalate. I just hope that we can come up with a way. And this, like I said, this is just an idea that I have had. And hopefully we can nip hurt feelings in the bud, which will make us all happier, right? None of us like to be unhappy. None of us like to be unhappy with one of our fellow church members. Because I think we have a really, really good thing here. And it's a shame when, you know, hurt feelings create situations where we don't speak to one another where, well, you know, it affects your sleep, affects your emotions, it affects a lot of things. So I'm open for suggestions or ideas. We can talk about the subject of happiness, or we can continue talking about this. Do any of you have any comments or ideas?
I think you're right, Randy. Sometimes it helps to have another person help with the communication, but we also just need to be conscious as we go along, and if we do have disagreements, to be, to be careful how we handle them ourselves, because often if you're thoughtful, we can work things out. I mean, the problem is with hurt feelings is that that tends to create a reaction that then makes you want to react to the person, which then hurts their feelings, which makes them want to react back to you, which hurts your feelings, and it can escalate. And I've thought a lot about the intersection. I mean, I've actually thought a lot about trying to help with interceding in some things that have happened recently, but I'm not sure how to go about it. When things are so simple, and seems like we could figure it out and work it out. It looks like, I always feel like well, this is so obvious. But sometimes it does help to have a third party, somebody that's not. The problem with hurt feelings is that you become it becomes so personal, and if you've got somebody that's not as personal, that's a little bit a step away from the hurt feelings, is not involved in the hurt feelings, then they can see more clearly and perhaps get the people who have hurt feelings to see things more clearly, because that's what it does. That's what feelings do, is they cloud our perspective. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, I hope I'm paraphrasing Brad correctly here, but that would take pride and ego sort of out of it. It would be some way of putting it on the sideline and letting the true thing that you're talking about. I can give a brief example of that. My dad was real good when he had a problem like that, at least in his later days, as I knew him. But something was happened with a brother-in-law of his, my mother's sister's husband, and Dad knew something wasn't right. He didn't know what. So he just went to him. He was a cop in town. He just went to him and says, "There's something not right about us," and says, I just don't understand what's going on. And he said, "You talk too much." And my dad said, "You're absolutely right. I know I talk too much. I'm sorry." And they both had a laugh, and that was the end of it, without even a third party. So, Randy, that's just something else you come up with that idea like that. You sure?
I've gone through a lot of disagreements with people. I'm 33 now, acted like a child most of my life. I try to, as far as ego goes, I started reading something called The Course in Miracles, and it really put the issue of ego out there for me. And I just know with disagreements, there has to be a hero. Like, with me, that's like the big, huge thing. Like, with any issue, there has to be a hero. There has to be someone that tries to put their ego away and just, like, tries to come to the situation and just save the situation. There has to be a hero. That's what I believe. So, the issue of the mediator, or the person that can remove themselves from the ego, or the hurt feelings or anything like that, that's great. Someone who's a step back from the issue, I think that's that's really a good idea. So, but we all have the same goal as a congregation, is to love each other. So that's what I'm up for. Any other suggestions?
Had me a little nervous there for a moment.
Why?
Well, if we have to have a hero or a heroine, do we have to have a villain?
No.
What's that song, that there ain't no good guys, there ain't no bad guys?
Yeah.
How is that, we just disagree?
We just-
Right, we
Yeah.
just disagree. That's it.
Okay. You know, this is probably a great way. I have learned that, and it takes time, but to go directly to the person. And if I'm unable to go to that person, then perhaps a mediator of some sort would be wonderful to help out. This could be a growing step until we're able to. So, with happiness, I have found that for me, two things work very, very good. Is an attitude of gratitude and stay away from negative people.
Yeah, there's something about having an impartial third party, someone impartial, you know. Because that person, like I said, like Sarah said, it takes the ego out of it. You know, I don't know what it is, and I've said this before, what is it about us that when we're angry or upset, in our minds it just becomes so big we can't deal with it? You know, I don't know. And sometimes it's just so hard to go to somebody. You know, we've all, you know, I had my only brother and I, you know, he was just so different from me, and we didn't really have a good relationship. And there was no way to really solve that problem. But, you know, sometimes with your relatives, you know, there are just issues over the years. But I've heard of situations where, say, two sisters haven't spoken for 30 years, and then one of them dies, you know? And I know for me, I don't like to be at odds with people, especially, you know, people I go to church with. I don't want to be at odds with them. I like to get along, and you know, I'm the biggest idiot. I say things and do things and think things, and, you know, I'm just as guilty of, you know, those negative things as anybody else. But you all be thinking about it. I kind of like the title intercessor rather than mediator. You know, mediator sometimes makes us think of something else.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking
I'm thinking
about.
about what they called him on The Godfather, the conciliatory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or even that, you know, just you know, we've got, who was it? Somebody said recently that our congregation is at the size now, when you get about 40 people, that, you know, you can have factions, you know, you kind of break
That was Maggie.
to groups. Okay, thank you, thank you. You know, and another thing that some of us kind of talked about through email this week was having maybe a reconciliation Sunday. It's important for human beings to have rituals. Not that you want to have rituals every Sunday, or I know some churches, you know, they have the very same ritual every Sunday. They read from, say, a Book of Common Prayer, or they have a liturgy that's in a book, or they, you know, do the very same readings, or like saying the Lord's Prayer every Sunday. Well, it becomes meaningless. But even though it does, rituals are important. One ritual is, you know, eating turkey at Thanksgiving, giving your mother flowers on Mother's Day. But we might want to think about having a reconciliation Sunday where if there's been, you know, a disagreement or some kind of problem between two people, or open it up to everybody and just, if there's something that's you push down inside of you that's creating an issue between you and another person, come up and say, I'm sorry. I want us to be reconciled and light a candle or do something. What do you think about that?
I just had a comment about what you were speaking about previously about a person who's an intercessor or a counselor or whatever word you want to use. I think the best option is to have that be someone in our congregation. Of course, you have to recognize that sometimes outside help might be necessary because sometimes nobody can be objective. Sometimes. So I think in that instance is when you would want to seek outside help. Somebody who can truly be objective, who has no interest in the matter, because sometimes issues get bigger than how they could have been contained. Another thing is that no intercessor or counselor can help if the people involved aren't willing to discuss it. They can do nothing. So,
Or also see it from a different perspective.
right, the people
That's
that,
the whole thing.
where the issue begins, whoever has the issue has to be willing to come out with it and not harbor it and let it brew and stew and cook. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. So I feel the possibly, and don't cringe when I say this word, a covenant, that this is how we will behave and this is what we will do when there are disagreements and problems, that we'll agree to come out with it and not hold it in, because it won't heal unless it's open. That would be my suggestion.
And it takes courage.
And it takes courage, absolutely. Because I don't like conflict, and I never have. I'll do about anything to avoid a fight, because I'll be honest with you, fighting scares me. It does. Now, I've had to do it in my life. I mean, my childhood experience wasn't really good as far as school and the things I suffered. I don't like conflict. And there has to be a way to make sure that everybody involved feels safe, that they can say how they feel without incurring the wrath or the judgment of other people. And understand, there's a way to say things and a way to not say things. Okay? But you have to have the willingness on the people involved, or no amount of counseling or intercession or whatever you use is going to do any good. So I would suggest some kind of covenant, that this is how we agree to operate.
I think the key to sorting anything out is to try to understand what happens in situations and hurt feelings, and try to understand how other people feel, which is difficult because their perspective is different. And that's something that's helped me. I wouldn't say that I'm good at it. I think I'm more conscious of it as I've gotten older, of being able to not get mad at somebody or react to somebody, because I can kind of try to, okay, well, let's see, where do they come from? What's their perspective? If you know somebody even rather casually in a church setting, you know enough about them, usually that you can see, what's shaped their life, how are they, different from me, and how are they going to be perceiving this differently than me. So I think the key to conflict resolution is to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and try not to blame, and also see, admit you're part of it. How you've contributed to what's going on, and how you might have caused other people to have hurt feelings, and so I think that's it. It's just to try to put ourselves in other people's place, to see how. Anybody else?
I haven't been here for a while, and I really don't have a dog in this fight, except that I think that was a good point. I was thinking about the example with the tie a little bit earlier, and something was said also about people being judgmental and bringing things up, and I was just thinking about how if someone had said, you had said, if she didn't like your tie, you would say, I'm sorry, I won't wear that tie again. And I was thinking how different my response to that would likely be. I would want to know why the tie bothered her. If she'd said, I was assaulted, at some point in my life, by somebody wearing a tie just like that, and it really brings up these issues for me, and blah, blah, blah. Then I'd probably say, yeah, I don't want to cause that problem for you. But if she just said, I don't think that tie looks good on you, it's the wrong color, and I don't like that color tie, and you're not going to wear it, I would probably say, that's something that you really need to work on, and I support whatever you need to do. If you need to go to counseling for that, I'll definitely support you through that. If you need to talk to somebody, whatever, but that's your issue, you're really going to have to work on it. And I'd go right on wearing my tie, just like I always had, so... I don't necessarily think that just because someone always has a problem, or someone has a problem with something that we do, that we always need to change that. Sometimes that is their issue, and they need to be the one to work on that.
Mary?
Thank goodness. I make the coffee, not the hard decisions. I've never had my feelings hurt here. I think this is a good congregation for welcoming and protecting feelings. But of course, if you have to make hard decisions about governance and direction, I suppose you're bound to have disagreements. And I wish you a good covenant or good intercessors.
David. I was mainly pointing to Mary, but... But, I just wonder if there was, like Brother Sasso, I believe it was that came last week, if there'd be someone a little up in the UUA that could come in and it would be still part of us, it wouldn't be like getting a lawyer downtown or something like that. And I just wonder maybe once a year there could be a special Sunday set aside and someone like that come and be here like Saturday and Sunday, and meetings could be set up or whatever. Now, I'm just sort of, in my mind, just exploring that. I don't know if such a thing exists or not. But Randy, I want to thank you especially for one thing you said. You said prepare a new meal. Well, last Monday, I went to Kroger and got a pound of hamburger, and what I've been putting off for a year, I made some sloppy joe. And man, I had quite a week. I got 3 good meals out of that, and I'm ready to go again. So you're right on that. I see Dixie go ahead.
Marty's on the way.
You can get Marty first.
I think we all have to remember that if we're not part of the solution, then we're part of the problem.
Yes.
So we all have to pitch in and help.
I've had all sorts of different church experiences, and believe it or not, I was in a Baptist church for a while. And I really felt like I fit in there, I'll tell you. Anyway, one Sunday the pastor preached about reconciliation and about resolving differences and talking it out and just airing it out and getting it over with. And instead of the normal altar call time, how they play the music and everybody goes and falls on their face and gives their heart to Jesus or whatever, he admonished the people in the congregation that if there was a member there or there was a problem with somebody there, go say something. Go finish it. Go say you're sorry, go work it out, but put some closure to the situation. And during that whole, what would be the altar time call, there were people going everywhere. All over the church. All over the church. There were lots of hugs, there were lots of tears, and it was very healing. And I mean, I would be up for something like that. there's always time for reconciliation, there's always the need for forgiveness and peacemaking, and I would have no problem with that whatsoever.
I believe Brad made a very important point. When you have a disagreement, you have to consider the other person's feelings. You have to consider where they've been, what's happened in the past that made that person react that way. But you know, there's also sometimes people who are told that they offended someone. It offends them because someone pointed out that they offended someone.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That when I mentioned pride,
The
you know,
ego.
you know, the ego. So, you know, and in regarding the two sisters that didn't speak for 30 years, I think what I read was they had forgotten what the disagreement was about.
Ooh.
They had no idea what it was. Anybody else?
No matter what disagreement I may have with anyone, there's one thing I do not have is bad feelings towards that person. I try to understand why we are disagreeing, and I want very much to resolve issues, mostly because my personality is that I can't hold a grudge, and I have been known to meet someone on the street with whom I'm supposed to be at odds and say, "Hi, how are you?" and see their face, and whoever I was walking with that time said to me, "Remember, you're mad at her." I said, "Oh, oh, yeah." So I can't hold grudges because they are so negative and they hurt me very much, and they prevent me from, I get frightened. And so that prevents me from going to that person and talking to them about what it is that caused her reaction to me and resolves it. So maybe that's what I need to work on.
Anybody else? Barbara Walford is not here to read the extinguishing the chalice, but could I get a volunteer? Somebody like to read?